Worked out that Dave Bradley's still here. Mr. Bradbury has left the room.
Despite popular opinion,
yes,
I'm still here.
Despite all the messages I've got to say, Kev, please get him away. I said I couldn't persuade him, unfortunately.
At least you spelt my name right. Yes. Thank you.
Nikki Chowdhury is here. Sorry, Nikki is here today. And also Dave Allen, Hampshire's honorary archivist. So you've got plenty of commentators, and let's hope we get some sort of meaningful play. Otherwise, we won't be doing very much. I'm Kevin James, and Mr. Bradley. No, you're right. You always work on the theory that while you're playing, you've always got a chance. Doesn't matter how far behind in the game you are.
Highly unlikely, but if it happens, well, it'll be a hell of a day's cricket. It'll be history making.
Yes.
Players are drifting towards the middle. I've had this theory that cricket is the only game where the players drift towards the middle. The only major sport, rugby, football, they all run out, don't they? But in cricket, we all drift towards the middle.
Yes.
No great rush. It's a bit cooler this morning, I'm extremely pleased to say. And there's a little bit of cloud around as well. And the kind of barometer as to what the day might bring is that the trees, which are away to our left and right, which are several miles away, are indistinct this morning, which basically I'm trying to say it's a bit misty. You won't be surprised. Well, I'd be surprised if we don't see spin at both ends straight away this morning. And we're going to get Felix Organ from the pavilion end. And facing him will be Ethan Brooks on 18. Jake Libby has 55. And a lot will depend on these two. Whether Worcestershire bat the full quota, I'll explain in a minute. Morgan's first ball. Brooks is forward, pushing away on the offside. We could keep around. Scurries from behind the stumps to pick up. Because Tom Taylor has an injury for Worcestershire. He did bat in the first innings, but he came in at number 11. So whether he will... well, it depends on the state of the game, I suppose. Organ's next ball, Brooks forward, and there's a loud appeal, or all sorts of appeals going on, and the man who matters, the umpire, raises his left leg and says it's a leg by. Rob Wise at that end. That run, sorry, I'm confusing myself here, which is not difficult. 118 for 5, Worcestershire. And Jake Libby to face. Libby on 55. Past 700 runs for the season yesterday. You probably would have hoped for more, but that's pretty decent in this day and age. Libby turns this one up to, pushes this one up to mid-on. He will not get a run. Abbott the fielder. Organ, the wind ruffling his trousers as he comes in and bowls, or the breeze ruffling his trousers. Pushed away by Libby into the offside. It's not a massive crowd today, I've got to tell you folks. If you want to come along, if you're nearby, it's free. Free to get in, as we often say, but £5 to get out. No, it's not. It's free to get in.
It's £5 for you.
Yeah. Somebody will pay it for me, gladly to get rid of it. Next ball is pushed into the covers, and there shall be no run occurring there. Yeah, a bit of collection round the ground. Get him out. Get rid of him. Organ, last ball of the over. And to this one, Libby drives quite pleasantly, but into the covers where it's stopped by Nick Gubbins. That is the completion of the first over of the day. Worcestershire have added 1 run. It is officially a maiden over because the only run was a leg by. And Organ's third over cost him, his 3 overs have cost him 6 runs so far.
Kyle Abbott is going to open from our commentary end. Mark Nanji has already emailed this morning, silentcricket@gmail.com, and he says, I'm looking forward to my final day of cricket at the Utilita Bowl and hopefully celebrating another Hampshire victory. I just wanted to say thank you to you, Kev, and all your fellow co-commentators for the excellent service you provided throughout the season. The commentary, banter and anecdotes have certainly enhanced my matchday experience. It brings you closer to the action and has also given me plenty of laughs. I'm looking forward to more of the same next season, says Mark, and he sits on the balcony of the Robin Smith suite, exactly opposite us.
Oh, okay.
So there.
Well, good morning to you.
Yeah, so there he's above the sight screen, or somewhere around there. Here's Abbott then, 2 slips and a short leg, comes in and bowls to Ethan Brooks, who edges that one past third slip, if there was one, along the ground, and it's gone for 4.
A bit surprised Abbott's opening up this morning. I'd have thought he'd had spin at both ends. A little bit surprised we haven't got a third slip either.
Well, yeah, but it wouldn't have been a catch. But
No.
I know what you're saying. But also, actually, just to be devil's advocate even, or just for an opposite view, that when Leach opened up 10:30 yesterday morning, there was a bit of movement.
Good point, well made.
Thank you.
Wondered when you'd spot that
At
one,
last,
Wilson.
End of September, at last I've come up with a good point. Thank you, Dave. What a generous commentator Dave is. We'll forget that £5 charge for leaving
Yeah,
the
okay.
ground. Here comes Abbott. There's a little bit of sunshine appearing. Forward is Brooks. But yeah, different feel this morning. There's a few more hazy clouds around. And as we've been saying, and as you've probably already worked out, there could be a few showers of rain. My app is showing 30% chance of a shower in about half an hour, rising to 50% in an hour and a half. But it's more than a shower, because it's got a little bit of that forky thing symbol out of a dark cloud, which I think suggests a bit of thunder maybe. Here's Abbott, runs away from us once more, bowls to Brooks, who's forward, goes back to Abbott. So 122 for 5 Worcestershire. They need 272 from here. I know you spoke to Amar Verdi last night, which is good to get his view. I tried to speak to Liam Dawson again, but apparently the message came back saying, "What, me again? Isn't there anybody else you could talk to?" Was how it was told to me, which is fair enough, because I've talked to him a lot recently, because he's doing that well. But spoke to Adi Birrell, the head coach, and who gave a glowing tribute to Liam Dawson, who passed 50 wickets for the first time ever in his career yesterday. That's pushed up toward mid-off, and there's no run. Amar Verdi.
Yeah, interesting, because he said it's turning, but it's slow turn. He said probably, obviously a bit more in it on the third day than it was on the first day. He's really chuffed that he's got into the... He didn't use this phrase, but I am into the shop window, really, because people might have forgot he was even around, and
Yeah.
so he's suddenly come back into county cricket, taking 9 wickets in a game.
Here's Abbott, slightly wider of the crease. Brooks drives into the gap just in front of square on the offside, and that will go for 4. Just opened the face of the bat there, and maybe that was also helped along by the fact the ball hit the outside half of the bat as well, but he found the gap. It is 4 runs, and it's 126 for 5.
It's gone across the square there, and it's going to race to the boundary. The bare square.
Well, it looks used, doesn't it? The whole length and breadth.
Yeah.
And it will be ready for its winter renovation.
Yeah.
Is that the word? Here's, which I'm sure they might even start, if this game finishes early, it might even start this afternoon. That's pushed out in the covers. Another single there to Brooks, who moves on to 27. He's having a good game. Ethan Brooks with his first 100 in the first innings, and he's looking good again with 27 to his name. 127 for 5.
Yeah, I know a lot of the club groundsmen are knocking the top off it already, and there are certain companies, of course, that will go around and do it for you. And they are ridiculously busy at this time of year. A very good friend of mine, who is a local club groundsman, was telling me that they turned up at 7 o'clock one evening and did it with the lights on. Ripped the top off it. Felix Organ to continue from the pavilion end. There was an announcement and a round of applause. I'm not quite sure what that was. But, Organ off a very short run.
No, it's Dawson.
Oh, it's Dawson. Sorry, that was what the round of applause was for. Sorry, folks, not keeping up. So Dawson from the pavilion end. Why didn't he bowl the first over then? Because he bowled. Where did he bowl last night? This
I
end?
think he might have done it.
Yeah, they switched ends. Far too complex for my addled old brain. Morgan Dawson bowls, big appeal. Probably, can you tell from our angle? But by the way he played it, probably missing leg stump. Sweeping across it.
Just watching the replay.
It was Ethan Brooks. Just fading.
Yeah, maybe just missing leg stump. He's close. Probably a good decision that.
Dawson left arm round to the right-handed Brooks, who sweeps again. This time he does get it away. He'll only get a single though. One more to the Worcestershire total. Toby Albert down on the boundary, sweeping round. I'm not going to go into the Lion and Albert again today.
I was just looking at this. Is like Ethan Brooks and Liam Dawson. I think Dawson might have just said to him, "Oh, he's got the sweep out again." Then I don't know. Just
Really?
looked like it.
Possibly, yeah. Pushed up on the offside. There's no run because he did sweep to distraction in the first innings. Dawson to Libby, the field has changed because he clearly doesn't expect Libby to sweep as much as Brooks. Pushed away into the covers, and there shall be no run.
Yes, Brooks didn't really play the sweep shot last night, did he? Didn't get it out of his locker.
No, played one, I think. Here's Dawson's next ball. Libby just lets this one go by outside the off stump, taken by wicketkeeper Brown. The conclusion of the third over of the morning, and Worcestershire are 128 for 5. Brooks has 28. Libby has 55. Dawson has 2 for 37 off 18 overs.
Yeah, just going back to Liam Dawson for a moment. Spoke to A.D. Birrell, the head coach, in the end, and gave a glowing tribute of Liam Dawson's bowling. Asked him several questions, and that interview is on the Hampshire Cricket website and the app, which is free to download, by the way. And that portion of the interview is also on the @SomerSport Cricket Twitter feed, or X feed as it is. Yeah, glowing report as to how Liam Dawson. Well, he was close last year with 49, 50 this year, first time ever he's done it. And yeah, well worth a listen. Here's Abbott in to Brooks. Ooh, Brooks gets one. It just bounces a fraction, takes the bottom hand off the bat as he pushes forward. I got an email late last night, and I know John of the Hampshire Cricket Society listens and watches the picture feed regularly, so I will read this out. I did mention a little while ago, a couple of days ago I think, about the programme for the Hampshire Cricket Society this winter. He says, thank you for the plug and praise for our speakers and valuable work that the Cricket Society has achieved. He says, Dave's Home Society, that's Dave Bradley of course next to me, the Worcestershire Cricket Society has one of the highest number of members of any of the societies. That's interesting. Oh, Brooks was going to leave that. It somehow comes off the face of the bat and ball trickles to second slip. Over 300, he says. Yeah,
and it's really good. And you know, sold out a couple of times last year. Couldn't get any more in. I can tell you that the guests are December Jeff Miller, February Ricky Elcock, March Gladstone Small, Simon Hughes, Gareth Batty, the legendary Joe Leach in January. So yeah, they're good, and it's good night. It's nice to meet up with people in the winter as well.
It is, yeah. Abbott again. Pass to Brooks. Brooks gets a thickish outside edge. The ball rolls away to backward a point. John goes on to say, sad soul that I am. I trod the hallowed turf yesterday lunchtime, not to see the pitch but to walk around the boundary. How many steps do you think it took me to walk around the complete boundary? ? Answer by email at lunchtime today, after you might have thrown it open to listeners. Well, there you are. So if you walk around the boundary here at the
around the boundary rope.
He doesn't say. Oh, he said on the hallowed turf, so we're going to assume that it was round the rope.
Okay.
Here's Abbott. Brooks driving up to mid-on, fielded by Abbas. So he's going to give us an answer by lunchtime. So obviously, just check on the state of the game, John. Otherwise, we might all be home by then. And he's going to throw it. He says, ask how many you think it might be.
We need to quantify this a bit.
Yes.
Is that his steps, or has he got a Fitbit? See, we need to know.
Well, this is getting a bit deep.
Yeah.
I'd like to think it's just a normal walk around the boundary.
Okay. I would say
What do you reckon then, Dave?
1,500.
There we go. That's Dave Bradley's answer.
Depends how long your legs are.
Well, there you are. Abbott bowls and Brooks is playing a forward defensive there. I mean, it's just a general question. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It doesn't need Fitbits added on.
I know. We need rules and regulations.
Whether he's touching the rope or whether he's 6 inches away from the rope, because that might make a difference by a few steps.
Is he Ronnie Corbett or is he Milt the Stilt? You know, we've got to know these things.
He's just a normal human being, Dave. Which I know those people are few and far between these days.
Especially up here.
Yes. 128 for 5 then, Worcestershire. They've added 11 this morning without loss, and there's a forward defensive to Kyle Abbott, and that is a maiden over. Brooks stays on 28, Jake Libby stays on 55.
Somerset are 210 for 8. So what were they overnight? 6 down, weren't they? So they've lost 2 this morning. So that looks as if Lancashire are going to win that, which will take the relegation battle into the last week of the season. Lancashire will be playing at New Road in Worcester, and that'll be interesting. Let's just say if they win that, they will go above Nottinghamshire. No, they won't. They'll still be below Nottinghamshire. They go down to the last weekend of the season. That one goes past the outside edge of Jake Libby's bat.
Bit of turn.
Yeah.
Bit of turn. Have a look at that on the replay. Just watching Dawson come in and bowl. Oh, my word, that has turned.
128, 128 for 5. Libby's bat is held high as he awaits Dawson's next delivery, which is quicker. He goes onto the back foot, whips it away into the onside. Not a run. A feather floats above us. That's
I see it.
A
I
feather
see
is
it.
going up in the air. As a by the by, folks. Doesn't take much to amuse me. Next ball off the back foot is clubbed into the cover area.
I think what it's proved is you've still got good eyesight, though.
Well, yeah, it's only about 3 yards away, wasn't it? Fletcher Middleton was the fielder, and he's a long way away. I recognised him. So. Here's Dawson's next ball. Forward comes Libby, pushes away on the leg side.
But we are completely bereft of sun,
We are.
which for the first time in this game.
I'm not too disappointed, to be honest. Dawson bowls again. Libby is forward again, pushes down the pitch. 1 ball left in Dawson's over, which will be his 19th. And when he concludes it, I shall disappear and do things of great note to the nation. Flicked off his hip, Jake Libby, so he'll pick up a single. Abbas Fields keeps the strike, and at the end of it, 129 for 5 is the Worcestershire total. I will see you later.
Thank you. Dave Allen, Hampshire's honorary archivist, coming in alongside me. Nikki Chowdhury waiting in the wings. She'll be here shortly. Must read out this email from Martin Hills, who's in Chichester, solentcricket@gmail.com. And when I read the first paragraph, you'll know why I must read this out. He says, Kev, you were about to read out my email below yesterday when Hampshire's innings concluded and it was put aside.
I did say hello to him because I know Martin quite well.
Yeah. So apologies for that. And I do get distracted. In fact, there was a couple of emails I missed yesterday, so apologies for that. But that does happen from time to time. Abbott bowls. It's flicked away down to fine leg by Jake Libby, and he moves on to 57, 130 for 5. He says, I'm particularly interested in the Hampshire fast bowlers' comments for the future and your thoughts and information. I'll be honest with you, I have none at the moment. Also, that Joe Leach's career end is marked and honoured. As for the commentary, I would liken yours to a Grand Cru wine. Oh dear, where's this going? And Dave's to a Premier Grand Cru. Oh, there we go. I can't believe that. I think Dave's in earshot. Hang on, I'll read that again so Dave can hear. Dave Bradley, that is. Short, and that's pulled. It's gone down towards fine leg. I think that's come more off the glove than the bat, hence why the pace on the ball was taken off. Felix Organ does well down the far end. Brooks moves on to 30. So here we are, Dave, for your particular enjoyment. This is Martin Hills in Chichester, who says, as for the commentary, I would liken you, Kev, to a Grand Cru wine and Dave's to a Premier Grand Cru. There you are, look at him. He's actually got no idea about that, but anyway, I think it means that you're like top of the tree and I'm sort of a bit lower, down near the trunk. Yeah. Dave obviously doesn't drink wine, as that's pushed out on the answer. I don't either, but I think I can work out Premier and Grand. He says Premier Grand Cru that is enhanced through time to develop and mature. There we go. Thank you, Martin. Thoughts on the fast bowlers at Hampshire, Mr. Allen?
Well, there's a chap called Turner who never plays, but it might be interesting if we could see him. But he's always somewhere else in the country not playing, so he might be interesting. And of course, there's Eddie Jack and Tom Kelly who are performing for the second 11, who won yesterday quite nicely.
All good. And we saw Sonny Baker this morning practicing on the side.
Did you?
Signed by Somerset earlier on in the season. That's pushed out into the covers, and there is no run. It's not the first time I've seen him having a bowl with Graham Welsh, the bowling coach, alongside him. So we're looking forward to seeing a bit of him next year.
And then there's a chap called Scott Curry, and but in doing that, I've named 5 younger. Well, you've named one of them, but 5. We've named 5 younger guys, which begs all sorts of questions about Abbott and Abbas and Fuller, who's just signed a 3-year contract, and Brad Wheel. So, but I don't have any thoughts, because I think and actually walking around the outfield in the last couple of days and chatting to people, everybody's unsure.
Yeah, I know I haven't really pushed it. Oh, it's pulled! Oh, it's a great catch at leg slip! Oh, and Brooks looks to the heavens, and I don't blame him, because that is a short ball which Brooks has tried to pull away on the leg side. He's gloved it.
Yeah.
And at leg slip, diving, full length one-handed, Toby Albert has taken one of the catches of the season.
Yeah. That looked like Gordon Banks against Pele. It's extraordinary. Wonderful, wonderful catch. Well done, Toby. And not before time in a way, because there's no doubt that the clouds are moving a bit quickly, and with this threat of the weather, you just wonder whether. I am seriously hoping that Liam picks up 3 more, but that's just stato historian in me, really, Kevin. Well, it would mean that he, for the 3rd time in his career in a county championship match, he'd scored a century and taken 5 in both innings, and only one man in a county championship match has ever done that for Hampshire before Liam, and he's already done it twice in the last 2 years, and this would be a 3rd one, so that would be quite something.
And the other one?
The other one, C.B. Llewellyn, who came from South Africa, and it was 120 years ago or something. Yeah, so long.
Right. Oh, my word.
I've got a couple of historical things which I might talk about just while we wait for the batter to come. Is that right? First of all, there was a mention yesterday of the game against Worcestershire in 1974, and I said about a booklet. Now I'm talking about an organisation called Hampshire Cricket Heritage, which is, now that I'm kind of retiring as the kind of public face of the history, I'm not giving up on the history at all, but I'm gonna sit at home with a computer and research and support other things and talk to the club about stuff they need to know about. So I just want to mention Hampshire County now, the website, and I'll read it out one more time a little bit later in case you want to get a pen or something. The website, all one word, lowercase, Hampshire County Cricket Heritage.co.uk. And we've done 3 booklets this year, one on 1974, one on ordained Hampshire cricketers, which doesn't include you, Kev. I don't think you never were a reverend.
No.
And one celebrating the 10th anniversary of the promotion. So that's my first bit.
Right, Logan Van Beek facing Abbott in as Abbott, but Van Beek is forward. And that's the end of the over. So a 2nd wicket in this innings for Kyle Abbott. He's 12 overs, 2 for 29, and Worcestershire 132 for 6. Need another 262 to win the game. And
just quickly, my other bit, although I will certainly post information about that on my blog, and I'm talking to the Association of Cricket Statisticians and Historians about it. I'm thrilled about this, although I don't know that it's going to thrill thousands of people necessarily, but through various means I have discovered, first of all, a document, and now I have acquired an online copy of some research done by a man called Tim McCann.
Okay, Dawson starts a new over, and he's bowling to Libby, who's pushing that up to mid-off.
Tim McCann was an archivist in West Sussex, professional archivist, who wrote a book about Sussex cricket in the 18th century. A really comprehensive account.
Dawson from the pavilion end, round the wicket again. Libby's driving, and that's a good stop in the covers. Libby was looking for a single, had to quickly turn and go back to the crease. I think that's Fletcher Middleton with that good piece of field in there.
Yeah, it was terrific. Yeah.
Yeah. Dawson, yes, quick with Dawson, isn't it? We
Yeah,
might have
it's
to
okay.
almost wait till the end of the over, a bit more of that. Libby drives. It's a little bit of an easier piece of fielding to Middleton this time.
I'll wait till the end of the over, that's fine.
Okay, Dave.
Yeah.
Yes. You can get into your stride, into your rhythm. 3 balls left of this over. Dawson bowls. Libby's on the back foot. Can't find a way past Middleton.
No, it's only 3 people playing at the minute.
That's right, yeah. Middleton's doing a good job there, and the fielder's coming in from deep mid-wicket to save one on the leg side. Libby's 57 not out here. Driving, and that's a good half stop at short extra cover this time by Gubbins.
But fortunately mopped up by Middleton.
Yes, Middleton again. It's all about Middleton here. There's Dawson bowls, and Libby lets that one go. It might just have been a deflection off the pad. End of the over, 132 for 6.
So Tim McCann, archivist in West Sussex, professional archivist, full-time archivist, not like me, wrote and published Sussex cricket in the 18th century. Fascinating stuff. Not just county cricket, of course. I mean, just funny little games here and there and everywhere. Harting, for example, played a game against some Hampshire sides just over the border into West Sussex. Then I discovered that he'd done a draft manuscript of the same thing in Hampshire. Hampshire cricket in the 18th century, 1700 to 1800 basically. Then I discovered that there was an electronic copy, and I'm now, through the county archives in Winchester, I've got a copy of the electronic copy. Ooh. And I've already got my own list, and I'm now matching the two and talking with them about publishing it. So the 8 people out there who are as thrilled as I am, look forward to the publication next season.
I'm sure they're jumping up and down with glee. That's 2 bounces through to Ben Brown. Start of a new over from Kyle Abbott. Just outside the off stump, and that ball really died.
I know that the guys at the Association of Cricket Statisticians and Historians, who are all as crackers as I am, they're quite interested in it. So we're talking, Hampshire Cricket Heritage are talking about publishing it. We're working with the museum, and it is really an extraordinary thing. And I was going to tell Nikki actually, but we're not on, so I was just going to mention that this history includes at least 6 women's matches in the 18th century in Hampshire.
Well, you can talk a little bit about that. Nicky will be on in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Down the leg
Okay,
side,
yeah,
short, well, taken by Ben Brown.
Yeah, there's matches listed from 1765, which is not necessarily exclusive. There is an interesting women's match actually, Hambledon against, it could be Chertsey, I can't remember. And it was a women's match, and everybody assumed it was the famous Hambledon in Hampshire, but actually we think it was Surrey because it was closer to the other side and they wouldn't have travelled across the border. So nobody actually, as far as I can tell, knows the answer to that. But
okay.
yeah.
Right, okay.
So there we are. That's the end of my history.
No, that's good. But also, Logan Van Beek almost plays onto the stumps and just bobbles behind him.
Although I did last night, I sent a message out to the Association of Cricket Statisticians and Historians. We got an email thing where we share information and questions and so on, which is where I found out about counties scoring an average of more than 100 in a game across the whole season.
Yeah.
And Hampshire were the last ones to make it this year. And I asked the question about whether we reckoned that Liam Dawson in 14 matches had done the double of 500 runs and 50 wickets. Abbott
in to Van Beek, pushes forward. He's going to get a quick single because Liam Dawson's very close in there at mid-off and it's just past him. There's a bit of a mix-up there as they were looking for a second. Fortunately, they didn't take the second, otherwise that would have been curtains.
And you were playing when the last official 1,000 runs and 100 wickets in a season happened. That was Franklin Stevenson playing for Notts in 1988.
Yeah.
But it seems to me that he played actually 22 games, but they used to list in things like the Play For Annual, used to list people who'd done a double in seasons when they played 28 championship games and half a dozen others, 33 matches.
All 3-day games, of course, as Abbott
Yes.
bowls, and he's edged it through to first slip, and he has. There's the second wicket. He's just waited for confirmation from the umpire, Jake Libby. That might have just have been an inside edge onto the pad. I'm not quite sure, but it's another wicket for Abbott. Bowls, and it's an edge through to first slip, and I think that's James Vince. There it is, James Vince, and Libby goes for 57, having only added 2 runs to his overnight score. So it's 133 for 7. It does feel like the weather is closing in a bit here, so probably just as well from a Hampshire point of view that we are losing some wickets. Can I just? I'm going to be off in a minute, Dave. I just want to mention this before I go, because we had the question set earlier by John Hooper of the Hampshire Cricket Society, who said, "How many steps do you think it is walk around the boundary?" And Dave Bradley tried to complicate it by saying, was he tall, is he short, does he have a long pattern, is he using a Fitbit?
You're not going to say who's going to win the British Grand Prix if you don't know.
Yeah, right, anyway. He's still trying to complicate it. Anyway, Brian Budd is having a guess. He says, sunatcricket@gmail.com, he says, my guess based on boundaries being approximately 65 yards on each side would be 424 yards. So for average steps, slightly less than a yard. How about 450? Okay, so that's Brian Budd's guess.
That sounds like O-level geometry to me.
It is. Now, John Hooper has since come back, and he says, here we are, Dave, so here we are. Here's the definitive answer. For a 78-year-old man who has had 3 partial or half knee replacements, so you didn't even think about that in your calculations.
3 half
it was
knees?
578 steps, just outside the boundary rope and all the way round. There we are. So there we are, 578.
Ken, I'm a bit worried about him having 3 half knee replacements. Does it mean he got 3 legs? and is that cheating?
Well, there you are. So there's a starters. For starters, everybody wants to complicate it. Everybody wants to do a variation on that. Feel free.
I'm going to finish that Liam Dawson double thing, because I reckon, given that people were playing 28 championship games and a few festival games, the MCC against whoever and so on to get their doubles, that Liam has actually only played 12 matches this season, because the Durham game doesn't count as an appearance because the team was not named.
Here's Abbott to Leach, who's forward and plays that up to mid-on. Dave Allen, Hampshire's honorary archivist, is staying on. And then for the first time this morning, it's Nicky Chowdhury.
And just before Nicky speaks, I'll just let you know that so far I've only discovered one other man who's managed 500 runs in the season and 50 wickets in the season since we've changed to 14 matches, I think 2017, and that's Lewis Rees of Derbyshire. So I reckon that Liam Dawson is conceivably the first man to do the modern double in Division 1 of the County Championship. And that's the end, and good morning, Nicky.
Morning, Dave. How are you?
I'm all right. I've talked an awful lot, Nicky, so I'm going to shut up a bit now and let you talk.
We've got Liam Dawson with ball in hand from the pavilion end. He's going to be bowling to Logan Van Beek, who's tapping his bat as he awaits. Dawson's in, through, Van Beek forward, defends as the ball rolls into the offside, and silly point goes in.
Yeah, silly point's
That's the
interesting.
fielding.
Suggests that he's getting a bit of turn, doesn't it? Silly point and a slip, but nobody close on the leg side, so it might be turning a bit.
Dawson in once again, Van Beek off the back foot. Ooh, bit of movement this time, and it spins away into the gloves of Ben Brown. It's a bit of a funny day today, weather-wise, compared to the last few days we've had, where it's been hard to even spot a cloud in the sky. As Dawson's in now, and off the back foot, Van Beek attempts to cut, but it hits silly point on his back, and a good form of defence.
There could be a bit hanging on the matches next week, but the forecast for next week looks just horrid, to be honest.
Dawson in again, slightly flighted as Van Beek is forward, defends into the offside. Yeah, it looks like autumn is here next week.
Yeah,
I think
does.
that's the best way to say it.
It sure does.
It does look like autumn is here. At the moment, Liam Dawson is here, and Van Beek is forward, defends straight back to Dawson, who takes a few strides to his left to collect the ball. 133 for 7. Worcestershire having lost 2 wickets this morning. That was a brilliant catch. That leg slip, though, I must admit, the last wicket. As Dawson's in now, and off the back foot, this is cut into the offside. It's going to be misfielded by Point. And they'll be able to come back for 2 as the ball deflects into the deep cover region. That will be 2 runs, taking the score to 135 for 7 at the end of the over.
Just occurred to me, Nicky, that I ought to be checking up on the Somerset. Well, I was going to say progress, but lack of progress, so that you can begin to celebrate Surrey as the county champions. Because I think it's going to happen pretty soon. I don't know. I'll just see now what it says.
Do you see it happening pretty soon? It should be.
It's happened. Surrey are
already
champions. Yeah, Surrey are county champions. Yeah. Somerset all out. Yeah, and we are, if we win this.
Kyle Abbott in, and this time leaches forward and drops it into the leg side, takes on the single as mid-on comes round to do the fielding and just about makes it in through comfortably. 136 for 7.
Somerset collapsed this morning, 224 all out. Lancashire win by 168. Surrey are champions, and if, as I say, if we win this, then we are second, 2 points ahead of Somerset, and we play them at Taunton next week.
Oh, that'll be exciting.
Yeah, well, it could rain for 4 days, and then we finish second
Don't
for sure.
say that, Dave. Have you not heard that you're meant to say good things to the universe so it hears all of your wishes and it can flourish and sprinkle them back? As here's Abbott in, and it's a beautiful delivery, bit of carry outside the off stump, straight into the gloves of Ben Brown.
My wife's always admonishing me about those kinds of. She says things
Well,
like that
I
to
think
me.
it's happened. I've come across it recently over the last year or two when everyone's saying that you should start journaling and manifesting, write down your wishes in a diary. So unless it's on paper, then
Yeah.
you can't really visualize it. You've got to let the universe know what your desires are, what you'd like to achieve, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I don't know. And lots of people do say it works. Some people say it doesn't work, and I'm not sure what to think of it. As in runs Abbott away from us, and Van Beek's forward, defends into the offside, and will pick up a single. There's a gap between extra cover and Point, and he's picked exactly that. 137 for 7.
I like conversations like that. Genuinely, I do.
I do like it. I like hearing stories where it's worked. Because I think maybe a few weeks ago, I heard a story where someone was explaining how they did manifest something. They wrote it down They wrote it down a few years ago.
Yeah.
And then come the time, what they wrote down came true.
Yep.
And they obviously blame it to the entire process. As in runs Abbott now outside the off stump. Leach shuffles across and leaves the ball as Ben Brown takes it with the gloves once again.
Well, 60 years ago, I did a school project, grammar school project, in which I wrote a history of Hampshire cricket. It was utterly plagiarised, of course. You know, I just.
Do you think you
had one
manifested?
And what have I ended up as? The historian of Hampshire cricket. You know, so.
It's
But
true.
I've got a more serious observation, which I'll take. It's a quick story, but I'll tell you after this ball.
I love
It will
a
only
story.
take one bit of an interval while Kyle's bowling. So.
Well, Carl's at the top of his mark. 2 slips and a leg slip. Short leg in plays as he runs in. And this time it's Leach's forward and defends. The ball bounces under his eyes and rolls to second slip. Will be another dot ball.
Well, I don't claim to be religious anything, you know, I don't claim to be Christian or Hindu or whatever, but every morning, 20 minutes every morning, I begin with a Buddhist chant. I sit out in my conservatory and I begin with a Buddhist chant. I look at my garden and I just do it and set myself up. If
You're
I'm
not
walking,
the first person that I've heard who does this.
Okay. Well, if I'm walking around the house and I can't find something, I start chanting for it and it always appears.
I've heard a lot of good stories
Yeah,
from people who started chanting.
yeah. I've done it for decades. Yeah.
Here's Abbott, runs away from us now. Full delivery, and it's playing a miss from Leach, and that's really carried through to Ben Brown. My goodness, and Leach almost on the move trying to play that drive. That is going to conclude the end of the over as well. 137 for 7 on the board. Yes, I have heard a few stories from people I know and people I know of who've also experimented with chanting, Buddhist chanting, and then they got into it and they realised that things were working out, and also mentally they felt a lot clearer. So
Life's
I
not
did want
always-
to try it, but I never got around to it. Even
Life's-
meditation, actually.
Yeah. My brain is too restless for that. So chanting is actually a way of making some noise, and
Dawson in, and this time Van Beek is forward, defends off the front foot.
I've done it in a cup final that Hampshire went on and won,
You started chanting in the cup final.
but I've never managed to get them to win the county championship as a consequence. It doesn't work for that.
Wilson from the pavilion end, left arm round the wicket to Van Beek, who off the back foot pushes this to mid-off, looks to set off for a single, but clearly decides against it.
Kevin was playing 1991 at the Oval, and I sat up at the top end, and it was really, really hot like it was here yesterday.
1990.
And under my breath, I was just,
Here's Dawson in now, Van Beek forward, looks to
Oh.
defend, drops it into the leg side, and Leach on the non-striker's end,
Yes.
comes and runs to run out
Yes.
at the non-striker's end! What a brilliant piece of fielding! Joe Leach set off looking for the single, Van Beek's firmly denied, and Leach couldn't make it back to his end in time, and my goodness, a direct hit with one stump to aim at.
And poor Dave alongside me makes a gesture of despair.
137 for 8 now, Worcestershire, and that is not the way you want to be losing your wickets.
Maybe you'll miss the rush hour traffic days.
Joe Leach will have to head back, and just watching it back on the replay, Leach was more than halfway down the wicket, having a fair few feet off from making his ground. Almost literally runs a U circle to get back, and
Yeah.
Logan Van Beek just stares at Leach, probably wondering, why did you end up coming so far?
Good throw. I mean, it's a good example of how that practice pays off, because very often you get exasperated with fielders, don't you? You think, oh, why can't they hit those stumps? But it was a good throw.
It was a brilliant
Yeah.
throw. It was
Although he's now done Dawson out of the opportunity of taking 5 wickets in and become. I don't know whether you heard Nicky earlier, but only one other man has ever scored a century in a match for Hampshire and taken 5 wickets in both innings. Liam's done it twice. Only one other man has done it, and he was on to do it for a third time today. But I'm now going to begin canvassing for him to be one of Wisden's 5 cricketers of the year, because I think he's just terrific.
a brilliant piece of fielding from Toby Albert as well.
Yeah, he's having a morning, isn't he?
Yeah, we've had 2 run-outs in Worcestershire's innings.
Dave has just passed him a note. We knew that there was a certain question about it, but Dave is now saying he's not sure that Tom Taylor will bat, and I suspect the sun has come out.
Here's Dawson in to Van Beek, who off the back foot cuts it straight to cover. Yeah, that's the second run out we've had in Worcestershire's innings. D'Oliveira was run out by Middleton. Again, another single stump to aim at, and just now we've had Joe Leach run out by Toby Albert.
Well, this might be the last wicket. If with the sun out, Worcestershire will look and think, okay, the rain's not going to save us, so maybe Tom Taylor won't bat, and this is the end of the home season.
I'll find out sooner rather than later, as Dawson's in, and this time Van Beek forward and drops the ball dead in right in front of him in defence. 137 for 8. 11 minutes past 11, Dave, make a wish.
11-11, yeah.
Liam Dawson in again, and Van Beek off the front foot lets this one go through, leaves it outside the off stump. Ben Brown takes the ball, and that will conclude the end of an eventful over. Just a wicket from it. Worcestershire 137 for 8. And
Seems that Taylor is going to bat.
he is going to bat.
Yeah, so a little bit
Was that
more.
Dave's big binoculars that could look into the dressing
probably.
room and see if he's padded up?
Yeah. I guess there's only one other game now in progress, and that's Glamorgan, who are losing significantly to Yorkshire. That's important because it pretty much secures Yorkshire's promotion. Not quite, but it makes it very likely that they'll come up with Sussex, which will cause despair in Manchester as Lancashire go the other way.
Here's Abbott in to Ahmed Birdie, short ball, and he just about ducks under, and it goes through to the gloves of Brown. And Birdie just looking to duck, but didn't really get out of the way of it. And luckily, the ball just moved a little bit down the leg side, and maybe short ball will be the mode of attack here from Kyle Abbott.
Yeah, they may know that. I mean, Verdi hasn't played much county cricket for a while, but they may know that he doesn't fancy it. Not people don't generally. I never played at a level of cricket where people did that much, so I don't really know how it feels.
Here's Abbott with number 87 printed on his back, runs away from us to Verdi, full ball, he's forward and drives this softly to backward point, and it's fielded off by a long barrier. You don't see many long barriers these days, do you?
That's an interesting thought. Yeah, I don't know, I suppose you don't. Certainly drilled into me, but there again, so was playing everything as a forward defensive and then thinking afterwards what you might do. So I do come from an old school, really. Long barrier, yeah. We had a famous pace bowler when I first watched called Derek Shackleton, who stopped everything with his boot.
Abbott into Verdi, this one down the leg side. I think this has come off the pad as it's fielded at leg slip.
I'm gonna disappear, Nikki.
Okay,
Nice to chat.
Hopefully we can speak again soon. I'm not sure, but we'll see. We're going to replace a Dave for a Dave. At the moment, Kyle Abbott's making his way back to the top of his mark. It's a bit overcast here today. Welcome back the other Dave.
Thank you.
Full of Daves up here in the commentary box as Kyle Abbott runs away from us with its orange soles flicking behind him, and Verdi's forward and pushes this to short extra cover.
It's filling in away to our right. The weather forecast, and it is, as my dad used to say, it's only a forecast, but the forecast says that if we're going to get anything, it's going to come from that direction. So
it's raining at my house. It's raining all the way down towards, what's it called? Gatwick Airport.
yeah,
I just saw through, you know those cool like apps that you can see what's happening outside your house now?
oh, the doorbell.
The doorbell app.
Oh, they're great.
Here's Abbott now, short ball, Verdi ducks, and this time does manage to get out the way a bit more fluidly this time. And Ben Brown takes the ball.
Yeah, best app I've ever.
Although it can get a little bit annoying because, hear me out here, Dave. So our neighbours always get deliveries, be it for their supermarket, shopping, be it for whatever. There's always a delivery van. And this morning, my doorbell app has gone non-stop buzzing because they had their groceries delivered this morning.
Yeah.
And the guy delivering their groceries kept moving out and around in front of the camera. And
It keeps pinging.
it kept pinging as in runs Abbott now, and Verdi forward. Moves his foot outside the line of the ball and pushes it back to Abbott, who fields to conclude the end of the over. It's a maiden over there from Kyle Abbott. That's his 7th maiden over. And in this innings, he's bowled 15 overs, picked up 3 wickets for 32.
Yeah. In case you wonder what we're on about, folks, you can get this thing. It looks like a doorbell, which is a doorbell.
It's a
But
doorbell, but it has
it's
a...
also a picture. You can see
Yes.
what's happening.
So if you're never home, maybe you've gone away on holiday, you have a doorbell that basically monitors who goes out in front of your house, who crosses, when the postman came, and even if someone is coming to deliver a parcel, they can ring the doorbell and you can answer it from your phone and tell them where to leave it if you're not home.
It frightens them to death when you start talking to them.
It really does. It's quite funny to do so.
Here's Dawson in bowls, and this is pushed away on the offside, and there is no run. A friend of ours was sat in our front garden looking after our dog one day. Started talking to him, and it was frightening. Then he shot through the wall. Back at my ranch, it's cloudy, but not raining. Next ball pushed into the offside, back to the cricket, 137 for 8. Worcestershire. Dawson, left arm round, in bowls, half an appeal.
We've got a slip and a silly point in place as Dawson bowls to Van Beek. No one out on the boundary, rightly understood.
Next ball, it's gone away off an edge. A rolling, tumbling, diving stop by Toby Albert makes sure it's only one run. So 1 to Van Beek, who has 5. Verdi yet to get off the mark. Dawson ready to go again, keen to get at it. And Ame Verdi, fellow spin bowler, comes forward and just kills the ball. Well, he doesn't actually kill the ball because it's an inanimate object and you can't kill it, but he makes sure it doesn't go anywhere, let's put it that way. Got a silly mid-off in Fletcher Middleton under the helmet. The ball played back, trickles up the pitch, end of the over, at the end of it, 138 for 8. Van Beek has 5, Verdi has yet to get off the mark.
Sorry, I've just been giggling away. We've had an email in from Dave. And Dave's asked something about my pronunciation, which I'm still not understanding what he means. Apparently, the way I pronounce the word towards is...
Towards?
Towards or towards? And he was like, is this a Surrey thing? Towards? Towards?
Well, 2 words is a word and another one. That's 2
just
words.
Lost it. I was reading this and I've been trying to say the word.
Don't ask me about pronunciation. I mean,
towards. Has hit the ball towards cover.
Towards.
Towards.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe, is this a... I don't know.
Towards. You're too posh. Towards.
Here's Abbott, runs away from us at the northern end and outside the off stump. Van Beek leaves this one alone and it's gone into the gloves of Ben Brown. You know what's going to happen? I'm just going to avoid saying that word.
Yeah. Well, if it's 2 wards, it's like a hospital with a ward and another ward. That'd be 2 wards, but towards. Yeah.
2 wards?
Towards, yeah. I
Towards.
say, mate, no,
Towards.
I'm about.
2 wards. Okay.
You could wander through the whole of the city centre of Southampton today. You'd find everybody has more pronunciation knowledge than I do. So you just say what you're comfortable with.
Abbott runs away from us as Van Beek is forward, and then he's edged this one and he's caught behind. Outside the off stump, Van Beek starts fishing, and unfortunately he will have to go. Another wicket this morning here for Hampshire, and Worcestershire now lose their 9th.
I queried why Abbott was bowling this morning, and I thought that they'd have had spin at both ends. That's why I'm sat up here and am not captain of Hampshire County Cricket Club. And Tom Taylor is going to limp down the steps. For those of you who don't know, he has a hamstring injury, so he's got a runner with him. The runner has to be, of course, somebody who's batted before, and in Worcestershire's case today, he's got a fair old choice.
Logan Van Beek is making his way back towards the dressing room. But although I have noticed something, Dave, I'm not sure if you spotted it, but I thought it happened yesterday when Verdi came to the crease, but he's done it a few times now. Whenever he's batting at the end of the over, he will always take a circle around the stumps and then come across.
Yeah, idiosyncrasies.
We spoke about superstitions the other day. I wonder if that's one of his. Or must be something.
Kashif Ali is the runner for Tom Taylor. Yeah, and we had Simon Hughes, if you weren't listening, folks, on the first day, and he was telling us about all the little idiosyncrasies, if you want to call that, habits that batsmen get into. And ever since then, to be honest, I've rarely watched, unless it was something like Steve Smith, who does all sorts of daft things in between balls. But it was really interesting. So I tend to watch people now in between deliveries certainly more than I used to.
Well, Taylor's going to be on strike with his sore hamstring.
Kashif Ali, the runner, has to go to square leg, and the umpire goes to the offside.
Abbott in to Taylor now. He's crouched low in his stance. Short ball, he pulls it away, and it's gone all the way down towards the boundary. That is
interesting.
A good shot. He just, the ball sat up on him a little bit. It allowed Taylor really just to get his arms fully extended and swivel as he hits Makes contact with that ball, races away towards the boundary. Not a bad way to get off the mark if you're someone with this injured hamstring.
Well, I'm wondering if that's Tom Taylor's theory this morning, that he's not very mobile, so he's maybe going to try and whack it, or maybe it was just the one that Abbott bowled really short.
We'll have to see again. What does Abbott do here as he's in through the crease now and outside the off stump?
Well, how did that get to first slip?
Get to second slip? We'll have to watch that on replay again. Abbott's in, and does that come off his shoulder?
The bottom of the bat? Perhaps it hit the bat rather than him hitting the ball. Has he tried to leave it?
It's a bit bizarre.
Another mystery.
Another mystery. Twists of the tails here at the Utilita Bowl.
Sky's looking a bit clearer, got to say. Away from whence the weather comes, apparently.
Here's Abbott in to Taylor. Goes forward and this time defends to short extra cover. It is fielded by Liam Dawson.
It's slightly confusing when you get a runner out there, but when you get two runners, which I've seen, and Worcestershire played Gloucestershire some years ago, and the two batsmen were injured, and they came out the following morning with four batsmen coming down the pavilion steps, which was a bit weird.
That would confuse me so much.
Yeah, well, I think if you're umpiring, it's a bit confusing as well. Yeah, you've got to find a place for two batsmen in the field.
Here's Abbott through once again. Taylor's forward and solidly defends to conclude the end of the over. 142 for 9, Worcestershire. Hampshire just need that one wicket for victory.
Kyle Abbott 4 for 36 off 16 overs. Dawson 2 for 41 off 23, apart from an over from Felix Morgan. There's the only two who have bowled this morning. And Dawson, no doubt, is going to continue. So, what have we got? Two slips, silly mid-off are the close grabbers. Second slip did have a helmet on the other day, but I don't think he has today. As Dawson is in, and down comes Ferdy and smacks it back over the bowler's head for 4. Just took 2 paces down and lofted it. So I thought Taylor was going to try and maybe bash everything, but he didn't. So Worcestershire only need another 252 to win, so
Only.
be positive. Be positive. Yeah, if they're not positive, they're going to run out of time. In fact, it's 248 now because the last boundary hadn't come off. Yeah, they'll run out of time to get the runs if they're not positive. Dawson to Ferdy, and he's gone and trying to whack this somewhere.
How has that missed the stumps?
Well, I think if he'd have hit that, that would have been on its way to Portsmouth.
It'd be in the Isle of Wight.
It was very short, and he just, he went round. I think he could have come round another time and had another go at it. As Dawson bowls, he's down and he's clubbed this one away, high in the air. That's gone out over mid-wicket, and it'll just creep over the rope. 4 more.
Am I losing the plot? But Taylor seems to be running when he's got a runner, or was that Kashif Ali?
That's Kashif Ali running.
Okay, I must have missed them switching over.
Well, Taylor stood at square leg, but the umpire is stood next to him and hasn't gone to cover point, which is normally what happens. Maybe there was a fielder in his way, or maybe he just can't be bothered.
He's done enough steps over the last 4 days.
Yeah. So Worcestershire go to 150 up for Worcestershire, 150 for 9. Down he comes again and smashes this one back past Dawson and away for 4, making a bit of a mess of Liam Dawson's figures here, it has to be said.
Birdie's like, right, I'm back to county championship cricket. Let's have a little bit of fun now.
Yeah. Well, he was telling us last night that he's looking for a club for next season. So, if he gets a quick 50 here and takes 9 wickets, somebody will say, hello, here's our man. So, yeah. Which rather shows up what's the word I'm looking for? The uncertainty of being a professional cricketer, I suppose. Because at the moment, he doesn't know what he's doing next season.
Living life on the edge.
Yeah. Verdi waits, and this time he's stationary in his crease and then tries to. Well, he looks as if he's trying to pull it through mid-wicket, but the ball ends up mid-off.
He's tried to hit that ever so forcefully, but it's barely would have gone past the 30-yard circle if there was one.
Down again, high in the air. Now, this has gone over mid-wicket. There's a chase down towards the boundary. No, it's gone over the rope, and Fletcher Middleton's chase was in vain. So Verdi has gone on to 16 with 4 fours, all off the bowling of Liam Dawson, who has 2 for 57 in 24 overs. I would hesitate always to explain this game to somebody who has no knowledge of cricket whatsoever. Say some Inuit from Greenland or somewhere, or maybe an American, to explain what's going on.
I think just trying to explain cricket to someone who doesn't understand the sport is quite bizarre, because all they think is that there's someone who comes and throws the ball.
Yeah.
Someone hits the ball, and then a man runs after the ball. That's in really simple context, as Kyle Abbott runs away from us. It's a short ball, and he's hooked us away uppishly, but it's going to land safe, and they'll come through for the single, taking...
No, they haven't come through for the single. There was some hesitation between Kashif Ali and Amaverdi, because Kashif Ali's obviously stood at square leg, and they didn't in the end go through.
158 for 9. They have not come through for the single, and Taylor is firmly
I think
you
could probably explain the game, and they would understand the basics. But then you understand you try and tell them what's happening this morning. Give up.
I think trying to explain the concept of a 4-day game would be quite challenging. You need to get them into the T20s, into the ODIs, and then you can really challenge them with the test matches. Abbott is in. It's a beautiful delivery, and he's edged it. He's gone. Taylor, again, just wafting his bat a little ahead of his body, and he's fished that one on off stump, and that's gone straight into the gloves of Ben Brown. And Kyle Abbott picks up another wicket, which brings him up with a fifer in this game. He's bowled 16.2 overs, 5 wickets for 36 runs. Absolutely brilliant bowling from him. And Worcestershire have been bowled out for 158.
Comprehensive win for Hampshire. They have dominated most sessions of this game, and I don't think Worcestershire can have any complaints whatsoever about the final result. And a fine morning for Kyle Abbott, 5 for 36, and me questioning why he was bowling at 10:30 this morning, but obviously that's why he was bowling. The season continues next week. You've got some info?
I've got some info. So with this win, that takes Hampshire second in the table. And of course, brilliant bit of work with Kyle Abbott. This is his 4th time he's got a fifer this season.
Yeah, well bowled. And it goes on to next week, where Hampshire go down to Somerset, and they could finish second. So it's second against third next week. So that'll be worth listening to, watching. And Worcestershire at home to Lancashire, which obviously, Worcestershire is safe, but Lancashire could still be relegated if other results go. And it's getting far too complex. But
it's that time in the season when it's just...
Yeah, I think what I'm trying to say is it goes down to the last games of the season, and there's something on them. So tune in to your usual outlets, platforms, whatever you want to call them. But basically, Worcestershire Hampshire have won by an innings and 236 runs, I make it. Only because it's up on the scoreboard, I haven't worked it out.
No, you wouldn't need the scoreboard to work that out, Dave.
Anyway, you're off to Leicester.
I'm off to Leicester. I'm not going to get stuck in traffic, which is always a bonus, but I think I get...
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be all right. And you'll be on your way up back to Worcestershire.
I will. Enjoy your game tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Do tune in if you...
I might well do that, yeah.
Listen in. It's going to be the Rachel Hayhoe-Flint finals between the Sunrisers and the South East Stars in the women's domestic competition. And it's all happening in Leicestershire, where I hope it doesn't rain. Forecast looks a bit iffy, but maybe I can use Dave's manifesting and chanting to maybe allow the the heavy cloud to divert to Northampton.
Wouldn't rely too much on that. From us here, thanks to Nikki Chowdhury, Kevin James, of course, will be back with you next week. Dave, our statistician and historian. Also, we had the analyst, didn't we, on the first day, Simon Hughes, who was very good. But that concludes our broadcasting from here today with the news that Hampshire have won comprehensively against Worcestershire. Thank you everybody for your emails and your correspondence, always good to get them, and we'll be back in various guises next Thursday, but from Southampton, or Hedge End as I call it. We wish you a very good day.